We are talking about generative engine optimization, if it is safe with the primary ways that it is being done, and then is there actually a right way to do it that is not going to get a website absolutely destroyed, where they're losing all of their organic traffic, and if they're losing their organic traffic, then they're not going to be found by large language models, and that's what we're talking about. Harpreet Singh is joining the show once again. Harpreet, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
All right. So let me ask you, is generative engine optimization the top ways that it is being done? Is it safe?
Yeah, so I think that there's a few different ways you can do GEO. One of the ways that is being recommended, the most popular method, is just publish more content. Make keywords for the query fanout. So, in case the listeners aren't aware what query fanout is, when you make a search inside of ChatGPT or Perplexity or any AI tool, they take that one query and they fan it out, they spread it out into multiple other queries. So you might look for the best running shoes, but then ChatGPT might search for best running shoes 2026 in the background. So what's happened is a lot of SEOs, they're saying we need to create content that matches the fan out. So they want to create content for all of these different variations of keywords. But then you get some GEO companies or AEO companies and whatever you want to call them. All they do is help you scale content. So they will help you rank for top of funnel keywords. They will say you can automate these processes. You need to create a blog post on this, this, and this. And what's happened is multiple websites are using those tools and they've just scaled their content. They've gone from having 100 pages in their blog to having 1,000 pages in their blog within weeks, and that's not sustainable. Initially, they all see an increase in traffic, or most of them see a big increase in traffic. And then the companies take that increase in traffic and say that, oh, we've increased AI visibility for this brand by 300%. But then comes along the crash where the keywords that they started ranking, they start to decline. And we've named that in SEO, that's been named as Mount AI, rank and tank. There's many different terms. So yeah, I'd say it's dangerous because if your website gets hit by a Google algorithm update, it can take many years to recover. And that's not an understatement. There's so many case studies out there where, some websites do take 2-3 years to recover. Why take that risk in the first place for traffic that doesn't mean anything? A lot of these tools, they're just making keywords like how to do something or like or what is, or explain this topic explained. That content is not generating revenue. It's not generating sales. I believe you have a course, Compact Keywords. The whole premise of that course is you want to rank for stuff that makes you money.
This method of marketing is so effective, I had to make sure it wasn't against Google's rules before I kept doing it. It's a form of SEO I call compact keywords. Whereas most SEO focuses on putting up articles to answer questions how, what, when, compact keywords focuses on putting up dozens of pages that sell to searchers who are actually looking to buy. These pages rank on Google and convert so much better than normal that when I discovered this years ago, I couldn't believe this was allowed. It's less work too. The average compact keywords page is only 415 words. Compact Keywords is a 13-hour deep course on getting sales with SEO. A customer recently said, each lesson is dense with information. You're giving years worth of experience boiled down into 15 to 30 minute lessons with no filler or fluff. I feel like I'm gaining a new superpower. Compact Keywords is about setting up an SEO funnel that brings you sales for years and years and years. It works with AI, it's less work than traditional SEO, and it makes way more money. You can get it now at compactkeywords.com. Back to the podcast.
Some of these GEO tactics, it deviates from that. You're just getting traffic for the sake of traffic, and a lot of the citations are fake. So it sounds like I'm going on a rant here, but you can rank or show up in AI for an infinite number of times, and one page can be cited for an infinite number of times. So let's just take a keyword, how to get rid of mold. You can easily make that page with AI, but when you take the how to get rid of mold within AI citations, there's so many ways that URL can show up. So if it's coming from a brand, you can say how to get rid of mold brand name, that's going to show up in AI citations. And you'll be able to say that, oh, we've increased AI citations for this topic cluster, but that doesn't mean that you're more visible in AI. So I think the whole system of like measuring citations, measuring the way brands show up in AI tools, I think it's dangerous, and they're obviously just trying to sell their tools and sell their methods. But yeah, I personally wouldn't advise it. I don't think it's safe. There's multiple case studies out there where it's not, companies have ranked and then tanked.
So you're saying that you're going to use these tactics. You're going to scale content from 100 blog posts to 1,000 plus blog posts, and this is going to get you a lot of organic traffic, and then it's going to get, and you're going to get cited in AI. It's going to get you a lot of traffic from Google, and you're going to get cited in AI. And then you're saying, but then Google is going to catch on to the patterns. You're going to get deranked. Your site is going to basically get hit by like a penalty, and that's going to be really bad for your organic traffic. But if I just care about generative engine optimization, if I just want to show up in AI, why is that even a problem?
It's a problem because AI systems use search APIs to get to rank pages or to show pages. So it's quite common. I think it's common knowledge now within the AI industry that ChatGPT, Claude, when they go and search the web, they use an API that links to a search engine database, whether that's Google, whether that's Bing. There's lots of different debates out there. They use a search engine database to retrieve URLs. There's also many studies that show correlations between the better you rank in traditional search engines on Google and Bing, the better your chances your page is being retrieved when AI goes and searches the web.
Is that often, or can like a company try to get into LLM's training data?
You can. So that's the whole. So the GEO tactics being, and it's good you actually brought that up. So the tactics being promoted by these companies about create more content, that is not going to get you into the LLM training data. Getting into LLM training data, I personally don't think there's any true case study of any company doing it. Because you have to compare output between models. So if we want to get into the LLM training data, you have to ask AI to give you answers without searching the web, because that's the only way you're going to know if the model has learned about you. Now, I've tried this. I'm not going to name drop the company, but around 2 years ago, this company had a lot of negativity around how long their solution takes to implement for enterprise companies. They were pulling from G2, they were pulling from Reddit, they were pulling from other places around the internet where the LLM didn't even have to go make a search. It said that, oh, for an enterprise, this solution can take 9+ months to implement. And now over the months, I've been following the different model changes, the different LLM tools. We've brought that down to 6+ months for enterprise brands. So it's gone down from explicitly saying 9 to 6. So that is an example of LLM optimization in my opinion. What these companies are promoting with their content creation side of things, I don't think that's going to influence LLMs because it's all based on web retrieval.
Okay, so you're saying that with any term that has with any prompt that has sufficient commercial value, it's going to do a web search. And if your site is using these scaled tactics, you're getting hit within organic search, and so the LLM isn't going to find you in the first place.
Yeah, that's correct. I'd also say that if people use the free version of ChatGPT, so this is just an experiment, all the listeners can do. Make a search for something using the free version of ChatGPT, open a new tab in incognito, and then make a search in your logged in version of ChatGPT, especially if you pay for it. Compare the difference in answers. So one of the things I've noticed with prompt tracking is, so I use a tool to track prompts, and it gives me a screenshot. I won't name the tool, but I use them. They give me screenshots of the prompt I've tracked within ChatGPT. So the way these prompt tracking tools work is they take a screenshot of the page and then they upload it into their tool and you can see what it was. When I track ChatGPT, I'm finding my it's pointless me tracking the answer because half the time now ChatGPT doesn't search the web in the free version. Maybe they know like a server or a scraper is the thing that's making the action, but I have a lot of useless data in one of my prompt tracking tools just because it's the free version of ChatGPT. There's no citations because the tool didn't go and search the web. So a good experiment for everyone just to see how these tools and systems work and how the answers can change. Open up Incognito, make a search for something in ChatGPT, and then in your paid account or even in your logged in account, make the same search and just compare them side by side. Do it again a few times, maybe change the structure of your sentence and just see what you find, and you'll just notice how different the answers are.
And so you notice how different the answers are, but what sort of insights does that give you?
It gives you it tells you what you need to focus on and what you need to do. So even every time somebody makes a search in these tools, the AI answer is going to be a little bit different. So you need to know that, okay, should I focus on improving? Do I need to completely focus on brand so I can heavily influence the training data, or can I get away with doing GEO that through
Yields.
improving web pages and through improving web pages, because the AI search will often look for go to the web to give an answer. I'll give an example. It's not business related; it's politics related. But the other day I was doing some research, and Canada got a new governor general. So something was changing in Canadian politics. They got a new governor general of Canada. And there were some silly rumors on Twitter or X that Justin Trudeau is going to be the new governor general of Canada. Of course he's not. So I typed into the free version of ChatGPT, is Trudeau going to become the new governor general of Canada? And then I just typed in Trudeau governor general of Canada. So I have both screenshots on my Twitter profile, but ChatGPT said no because he's the prime minister of Canada. Now it's been a year since Trudeau left office. He's not the prime minister of Canada. Mark Carney is. It's been 1 year, but because ChatGPT did not go to the web, that's the answer it gave. So in that sense, I'm going to be like, okay, so if you're a business and something's really outdated about your business, you need to focus on the sources that can have the biggest impact on LLM training data. I truly don't think everybody knows what that is. I truly don't think that everybody knows what that is, but we're saying it's things like Reddit. If you're a business, it could be Reddit. If you're a business, it could be G2. If you're a business, it could be a local directory. And if you're a business, if you're a local business, it could be your local board of trade. Make sure your profiles are updated in the local board of trade website. So things like that. So then you need to say, okay, I need to make sure the LLM training data is up to LLM training data has the best possible chance of knowing everything up to date about my brand. But then if you make a query and you see 8 times out of 10, ChatGPT is going to the web to make a search, you need to make sure that the web searches are optimized. So I'm going to take reviews now. So brand name plus reviews. For that, ChatGPT might, more often than not, go to a review website to give the user reviews. So in that case, if you're on Trustpilot, for example, Trustpilot is heavily cited in ChatGPT. You need to make sure your Trustpilot profile is optimized. If someone is leaving a bad review, reply to them. If you're able to do that in the platform, reply to them. Encourage people to leave good reviews on Trustpilot. So then you need to do things like that. Brand A versus brand B. So a common GEO tactic is making comparison pages. Now, comparison pages were made well before the invention of AI search. Like the mattress companies made them, like mattress 1 versus mattress 2. What happened with
them 6 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. But what happened with GEO is they said make tons of them. So they took that concept. So these tools took that concept and they just told brands to scale. And I see comparison pages on sub websites now where no one's even searching for that because the brand they're being compared to is not like no one. It's a nobody brand. Like no one's searching for it. The GEO tool companies are also asking brands to make comparison pages. So I'm brand A, but I'm making a comparison page for brand B versus brand C. Now I don't think that. I personally wouldn't do that. I'd stick to my own brand because why? Like what optics does that give to a customer when you're making a page for brand B versus brand C when you're brand A? I don't think that's good marketing, but the tool companies are getting people to scale. But that said, if you're a brand A and a customer is comparing you to brand B, and in ChatGPT, the URLs are going to newly published pages. So it might be Healthline, for example, because you're a supplement brand. Healthline might have a page A versus B, or it might be G2 that has a page A versus B. Then you need to figure out something, and then you need to think about actually making that page on your own website, because now AI has another source it can reference for that specific term.
Yeah, I want to get into the safe ways and proper ways to do generative engine optimization in a moment. So you mentioned that these companies, they were getting these short-term spikes by scaling content. You're scaling alternatives pages, you're scaling how-to pages, you're scaling best lists, like this is the best for this. You're scaling all of these things, and you're seeing actually like a really dramatic increase in organic traffic and citations.
Yep.
And so and then you said these companies are going and shouting about like how well these tactics work. And this is at the height the companies that are doing them are getting hit, are getting hit and losing all of their traffic. And so the companies that are screaming about how well this works without naming the companies, like, what do you mean? So these are companies that will do this for other companies?
No, so the GEO tool company will, yeah, so they work together. So the GEO tool company or AEO tool company will have a case study on their website saying that company X, they received a 500% visibility in AI citations and AI mentions after doing A, B, and C. And generally it's they created content. They always put a spin on it. So they'll say stuff like they created content that serves the full funnel. If someone says that, they made listicles. There's some case like listicles, if in case anyone isn't aware, it's basically on your own blog post or on your own website, you you write something. Let's just say the top 5 email marketing softwares. You put your own company in the number 1 spot. You could put competitor 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or however many in the other remaining spots, and you post that on your blog. The goal is that when someone makes that search in AI, that your page is cited and your company is mentioned for that long tail query. So that's basically a listicle. They will say stuff like, we created comparison content, we created bottom of funnel content, and we received X percentage visibility in AI tools. But there's a funny one. I think I'll name the industry. If you search for the best AI FP&A software, and everyone can try this out because it's still working, or it was yesterday. The top citation in Google's AI overviews is a newer player. So they're an AI focused player. They're a newer company, and they are using one of these GEO tool companies. And if you just put that name into Google and type in AI optimization or whatever, I'm sure you'll find out which company they're using. But they are cited in the AI answer, in the AI overview, but they're not mentioned. So the AI overview says that, oh, these are the best companies for this software, and it doesn't mention them, but it links to their webpage. So is that a win or is that a loss? Because now someone can see that this company is recommending these brands as the top companies, but Google isn't listing that brand.
How can you discern if I'm a business owner and I'm deciding between hiring different geo companies? How can I discern the ones that will be good for the and I was gonna say long-term health of my company, but honestly, when you see these like Mount AI patterns, when you see these rank and tank patterns, you see it working for literally a few months, and then after like 3 months, it's done, it's hit.
Yeah.
So and it's not even it's like short term too.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to decide between geo companies that will be good for my company, what are the red flags that I should look for, and then what are the good signs that I
Yeah.
should look for?
Yeah. So I think the biggest red flag is, do they have a content generator in their platform? So you can get different types of GEO vendors. My take on this is that if you get an experienced SEO professional who's not trying to upsell you lots of stuff related to AI, they are probably your best bet because they're going to give you a balanced approach. But if you're looking for a specific GEO vendor, I'd say that one of the red flags is, like, do they have a content generator? Go through their customer stories. Look at their customers. So don't just look at the logos on the homepage, but most established tools, or even some of the newer tools, they have dedicated customer stories. Read the customer stories, like see what they've done for their clients, see what they've done for their clients. If some of the terminology is, if you're a business owner and you're not doing SEO day in, day out, you're not doing this day in, day out, so some of the terminology might go over your head. Take that page and put it into Claude, put it into ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to explain it to you in layman terms. That's what I would suggest people to do. And then when you look at the case studies, if there's a lot of case studies around how we did this by scaling content, that's a red flag. If you're able to book a demo with these companies, so you might be wanting to get a bigger plan, ask them how they're performing now. So legit, just ask the sales rep. So I see this customer story on your website with this brand. Can you tell me how they're performing now and how did this strategy hold up over time? And see what the salesperson has to say. So yeah, my biggest red flag is scaling content. But at the same time, I get inquiries, I get messages all the time around, hey, can we look at this company that will help us show up on Reddit? And this company was helpful show us on Reddit, and they're saying that's going to improve our AI optimization. Well, then you have to ask them, what are they doing on Reddit? Again, look at the customers, look at the case studies. With Reddit, it's a lot easier. So if they have logos on their homepage, you can just search for that company on Reddit and you'll be able to see Reddit threads. And a lot of the time, they're just auto-generated, they're just AI-created posts that add no value, they have no engagement. That's not gonna boost your visibility on Reddit. Like
So you're saying that that these geo companies for Reddit are giving customer success stories that actually they're just like making up success stories, or
basically, they're saying, oh, we increased mentions on Reddit by X, but like, what does that mean? That doesn't have, like, you can't tell me that has an influence on AI search or AI visibility.
You're saying we increased mentions on Reddit, but they're not actually saying the goal that it's supposed to get you.
Yeah. Well, what they say is we're going to post on Reddit, and because AI loves to cite Reddit, you're gonna see an improvement in X. So I'm just crossing out that theory right now. What you need to do as a business owner, again, if you're working with an SEO professional who's has a balanced take, they will do this for you. They will take your set of keywords that are really important to you. They will take your prompts and conversational queries that are really important to you. They will put them into an SEO tool. They will be able to see, or a GEO tool, they'll be able to see what Reddit threads are actually influencing the queries that you care about. So let's say I want a new sink, a bathroom sink or bathroom vanity. I'm going in on ChatGPT, I'm typing what are the best bathroom vanities. Now, let's say someone's telling me, like, I run a bathroom store, and someone's like, hey, I can improve your AI visibility. I'm going to do this on Reddit. But now, because I've gone to my SEO and I've done the analysis, I've seen that the only Reddit thread being mentioned or being cited by AI is a thread that was started 8 years ago and that is now locked. Even if you create 50 pages on Reddit, you are not going to break into that AI answer for the best bathroom sinks because you're posting on Reddit, because AI is using that Reddit thread from 8 years ago. So that's an example of what I'm saying. So yes, Reddit is cited by AI, but you need to take your set of keywords and your set of prompts to see what URLs from Reddit are cited. You need to see what subreddits are cited. There's some subreddits out there that as soon as you mention a brand name, so you might even be trying to give a helpful answer, but as soon as you mention a brand name, they ban your account. But that subreddit might be the one that is most heavily engaged. So if you make another subreddit with a similar name, what's the point? Because you're not going to influence anything. You're just creating a page for the sake of creating a page.
That makes sense. And so how do you evaluate geo companies? I'm saying geo companies because I still think if you're a business owner, you're going to be looking for geo companies.
Yeah.
Even so you're going to be looking for geo companies. So then How do you actually evaluate ones that will be good for your brand, that will be effective, and that aren't going to hurt you,
Yeah.
that aren't going to destroy your organic
Yeah.
traffic, make it so you can't be found on Google at all?
Yeah. My biggest thing would be if I'm consulting with someone, I'm helping them find a company, it's how long have they been around? Did they just pop up after ChatGPT came along, or have they got experience? Were they here in 2015, 2016, 2017? Obviously, people new in the industry, there are going to be new people in the industry, but yeah, you need to kind of see how long they've been around, and you need to talk to them to see what tactics they're recommending. So, of course, when you talk to a consultant or you talk to a company, they're not going to give you they're not going to give you the full strategy. They're not going to give you the full source, but they're going to give you snippets of they're going to give you snippets of what they will do. If they're focusing on scaling content, like I said, that's a big red flag. If they're focusing on Reddit mentions, that's a yellow flag. It depends what they're going to do on Reddit. You need to ask them how they're going to post on Reddit. You need to ask them how they're going to engage with communities. If they're a GEO company, you need to ask them if they have a video strategy, because video is performing very, very well in Google's AI overviews. Not sure about ChatGPT, but in Google's search experience, videos are getting heavily promoted. So do they have a strategy for YouTube? Do they have a strategy for social media? The GEO company doesn't necessarily have to make the videos for social media, but they can advise on what topics that you could be creating for. They can advise on saying that, hey, for these keywords in the AI overview, there's a YouTube video present. Because these keywords are so important for your business, we need to make a video on that. So things like that is what I would evaluate. But yeah, you have to talk to them. You have to ask them about case studies. If they are really going in on how we achieved whatever for this company or a specific company, ask them how that company is doing now today, and ask them how that company is holding up. And oftentimes, if you have a subscription to an SEO tool, you can kind of see yourself. You can see yourself too.
You can use SEMrush for free
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can see. So Mount AI, literally the traffic, it's what we're saying.
It literally looks like a mountain.
Yeah, spike goes up, spike goes down. I would say that brands that have been around for a little bit longer, when they engage in this, their peak lasts a little bit longer than newer companies. So it's something I'm noticing now. So if you're a startup that has lots of media mentions and people are Googling your name, you got a lot of branded search, you might get away with these tactics longer than a company that isn't as relevant, or if you're a small business. There's one tool out there. Again, I won't say the name, but there's a tool out there that helps small businesses make optimization. So it's a tool marketed for small businesses. So local plumbers, electricians, HVAC companies, and so on. So they do the same thing, and their Mount AIs are even worse. Like they are literal, like they go up right away and then they go down right away. So yeah, I think the biggest red flag is content, but talk to the company and see what else they're proposing.
What would you say to the geo company who's like, yeah, look, okay, sure, we had this up and down pattern, but actually where we finished is higher than where is higher than where we started. So it's still a win.
Yeah, I actually got asked that question by someone a few days ago. I would say, what is that traffic doing for your company? Are you making more money? If you're getting more organic revenue, if you're getting more revenue through LLMs, then that's okay. Then, you can say that's a win. But if you're not getting more revenue, that's not a win. And I personally don't think that these companies are, because the traffic is top of funnel. That's how they're able to do this so fast. There's one company, the big finance company, their case study on multiple company websites. They have heavily scaled content. And in March, there was a core algorithm update. So right now, it seems like their traffic is more than where it was a year ago. There's no question about that. But then I did some more analysis into that. The keywords with a difficulty over 30, the rank and tank has begun. But this is a company, when you look at the overall traffic chart, things are still going up. For keywords with a difficulty of over 30 in Ahrefs, the tank has started and they're going down. The more difficult the keyword is, the more like To keep things simple, the more likely it is to be a competitive term, the more likely it is to be a more useful term for the business. Those keywords are going down. So even if traffic is up, again, my question is, what impact is that having on the business? If it's not having a big impact, then strategy is not worth it. But if it is having an impact on your business and you are making more money, then there are some edge cases where, okay, this tactic is good. But at the same time, can we even call that tactic good if in the next Google algorithm update, they get hit and their core services or solution or product pages get affected? So even if your traffic right now is higher than where it was after you've tanked, you still need to be wary of what's going to happen in upcoming Google updates, because there have been cases, many cases, where algorithm update 1, you see a decline, update 2, decline, update 3, another decline. And in 6 months or 7 months or 2 years down the line, you're at a much lower point than where you were a year ago when you asked that question. And I think we even did an episode on this with Shopify. I
Yeah.
think their traffic now in 2026 is like, I think it was around 1 million or 1.5 million, and in 2021 they had 7 million users. I would avoid this tactic essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna see that spike, and then honestly, what happens oftentimes too is like in the short term you will be better than when you started, and then in the long term you're going to be not just like getting less traffic from Google, but you might have a harder time for people just finding things when they're putting your name into
Yeah.
Google, like
Yeah.
for real things that are going to make you money. And as we talked about, LLMs are pulling from Google. They're pulling from search. This devastates businesses.
Yeah. And I would also add that, LLMs are aware of this tactic. Google is aware of this. So what we are,
That's that's what I was going to mention. Yeah. So Google, literally, the thing to know is Google has in their guidelines a passage about doing this and how it goes against their guidelines. It's called scaled content abuse. They literally say, don't do this. Don't scale content using AI. And so you got to consider that if you're considering doing this yourself or going with one of these generative engine optimization companies, answer engine optimization companies who's saying that they're going to do this for you, this little startup is going up against Google with their teams of the highest paid engineers in the world,
yeah,
with an abundance of websites that have already tried this, all of the patterns for what this looks like. It is very easy for Google systems to detect this.
yeah.
It's very easy. And so if you were considering going with a geo company, you just have to know you are going up against trillion-dollar Google and their teams of engineers.
Hey, it's not just Google. So back to the query fan out. So there was a period, I don't know if this is happening right now or if this was a test, but I'm going back around a month and a half. So when you made a search on ChatGPT, so let's just say I'm going to say the best email marketing software again. So what happened was all these GEO companies told their clients to make the best listicles where they put themselves number one, and then they put that blog post on their website. So during the query fan out, ChatGPT started to use the site colon, like g2.com, and then in quotation marks, a company name that's already well known as part of their fan out. So that tells me that OpenAI are onto this as well. They know people are trying to game ChatGPT. They want people to get the best possible answers. And in the background, they are doing things or they are testing things to give people the best possible answer. So when you're hiring a GEO company, even an SEO company, you have to think about the tactic you are using. Is that going to give users that find your page through Google or through an AI search engine, does that give them the best possible experience?
Can you give
Right.
just 5 specific questions that a company considering going with a geo company should ask to that geo company? Just 5 specific questions, and then we're
Yeah.
going to move on to actually the right ways to do
Yeah.
generative engine
Yeah.
optimization and answer engine optimization.
Yeah. So let's see if I can think of 5. Number 1 is going to be how do you think GEO is different to SEO? I think that's a very important question. Number two is going to be how long have you been around, and when did you start in the optimization business? Number three is going to be, can you tell me some recent case studies, and can you let me know how they're doing now? So not what you've achieved for them like in the past, but how are they performing now? How have the strategies held up? What are your thoughts on offsite SEO? What are your thoughts on incorporating video and social media into our strategy? And number five, this is where I need some help. Number five, what could the fifth question?
I would be like, are you putting up lots of blog posts? Like, are you
Yeah,
putting up hundreds
yeah,
plus blog posts? Something
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
I would also say a red flag might be if they can't explain things to you in a way that you understand. So
yeah,
if they're using lots of really fancy terms that make it that just don't even make sense to you, if they can't explain it in a way that you understand, that's a huge red flag. That the and this goes with search engine optimization too. This goes with
yeah,
many marketing agencies, to be honest, but especially with SEO, you see this is very common.
yeah.
If a company can't explain it to you in a way that is very clear in plain English so you understand it, there's a good chance that they are a grifter and they are trying to overcharge. And you should find someone who can explain it to you really clearly.
100%. Two more questions. Do you recommend implementing an LLMs.txt file? If they say yes, we recommend an LLMs.txt file, probably one to stay away from. And the other one is, do you recommend implementing an AI info page? Because there was a guy on LinkedIn, I'm not going to say his name, but he didn't have an about page on his website. Like, he has no about page, but he does have an AI info page. And he's posting on LinkedIn how this AI info page is being cited by AI tools for questions about his brand. But like, bro, like the AI info page is this about page. If you didn't have that, it would cite an about page. So I asked them about llms.txt, asked them about an AI info page, asked them what they think about chunking. So if you're a little bit more advanced and you're more aware of these tactics, take some of these complex terms that we might put in the grifting category and ask them questions about that and see what their response is. And if they play along with them, like, yes, you need to chunk all of your content, we're leaning towards the red flag.
So we were talking about actual ways that you could do this, and I want to go back to this discussion on influencing training data. This is something that a lot of people are interested in. Have you what have you seen people testing? Have you seen anything work? Because we know that brands are in training data.
Yep.
Like, and it's very common that like top brands are already in
Yep.
LLM training data, and all the time you will see that an LLM will not do a web search and will still mention a brand or will still mention a well-known person. And so, yeah, how has that even happened in the first place? What have people done to try to recreate this, and has
Yep.
any of it worked?
Yep. So one thing with training data we have to understand is that LLMs have years and years of training. So any tactic we do, it's going to have a minor impact on the grand scheme of things. And I'll give this case study I did around implementation. So we started this around 2 years ago. Like I said, the company in question, when you asked about the implementation times for their software, they were long. Like, they were saying 9 months plus, sometimes 12 months plus. And they were obviously from 5-year-old reviews from G2. So even without a web search, ChatGPT would say that it's taken this long. And we know it came from G2 because that exact wording is on G2 that, oh, it was a horrible implementation. It took like 2 years or whatever. So I sat down with multiple people, opened up conversations with multiple people in an organization saying, we need to address this. So the first thing we did was on the website say the implementation can be as fast as 3 weeks. Very simple thing. But we just said that exact thing on our website. Why did we do this? Because AI is a parrot. AI is going to repeat information that it sees. So what better place to start than your own website? Then we took that 3-week period and We expanded it to social media. We started making posts. Misconceptions about the brand name, myths about the brand name. And we got the founder to make videos. So the founder posted videos on Instagram, like through the company channel, but from the founder. Like, a misconception is that this company's implementation is slow and takes this many months. No, that's wrong. Implementation is actually dependent on multiple other things. We distributed that like crazy. So it was on the website, it was in third-party articles, it was on Instagram, it was on YouTube. And now I can see that the LLM gives an answer of 6 months. So it seems like that that the distribution we did for that specific query, for that specific topic, seemed to have an impact on training data. Not the impact that we liked for these 3+ weeks, but it took the time down from 9 months. That means AI now knows that, this can be implemented in a shorter period of time. So that's one example. You need to create content across multiple challenges, channels. And if we're talking about what we need to do for GEO, that is one thing. Create content for more than just your website. So yeah, if you want to influence the training data, have it on your website, but what else can you do? And it costs money. If you want to do press releases, then that costs money. You have to, invest in those releases. It costs to invest in a social media person who's going to grow your brand. Do community engagement. If you're a local business, be known in your local city for doing something. That's all going to help improve your brand presence, your brand standing. One thing with a law firm I noticed actually is Glassdoor was being cited. So when you ask for reviews around this law firm, Glassdoor, ChatGPT was citing Glassdoor. It was referencing Glassdoor. What we did was we improved. We went on like a recommended the lawyer asking their employees to leave reviews on Glassdoor and give them an incentive to leave a review on Glassdoor. And now their Glassdoor rating is above 4 stars, and now ChatGPT doesn't use that as a review source anymore. It uses something else. So yeah, there are a few ways you can do, I think, good GEO and just try and influence the LLMs. Put lots of content out there across different channels, and then when you make a search into ChatGPT, where is the sentiment being sourced from? Can you do something to address that sentiment?
So, with this success story where the implementation time was originally given at 9 months and you got it down, it wasn't 3 weeks like you wanted, but you got it down. But are you saying that the LLM was not doing a web search and it was giving this lower answer?
Yeah. So right now, the newest ChatGPT model, because the cutoff date I think is August 2025, the newest ChatGPT model without a web search enabled is giving that answer.
And yeah, go on.
And yeah, I was going to say that, to me, like, that is LLM optimization, because I've influenced the LLM, or the company have, altogether we've influenced the LLM. And that's the other thing about GEO. It's not a one person effort. Like, for most companies out there. So obviously we have a diverse audience here with people work in different companies, but for most brands, GEO, like, one person isn't going to solve the problem. It's a company-wide thing. If your product or service is really bad, you can do all the Reddit optimization you want. People are going to say bad things about your product on Reddit. So now GEO is a product thing, brand reputation thing. If your CEO is questionable and he's doing questionable things, you're going to have some negative sentiment associated with your brand. Your communications team, when they are writing press releases, or when they're writing press releases or talking to the media, if they position the brand as, let's say, we're a company that does this, but for the last 15 years, you're known as a company that does A, B, and C, and now you're saying you're a company that does, D, E, and F, the AI is still going to say the AI is still going to say you're a company that specializes in the thing you're known for. It's going to take a lot more than just a press release to do that. You're going to need to promote your messaging in other channels. You're going to need to pick up sponsorships. You're just going to have to do way more. So GEO is not just a one person problem. I think it's a whole company problem. Of course, one person can be the owner, but if you're working in a bigger organization, everybody needs to know what they can do to help with AI search. Because I think, yeah, now, because so many channels are affected, everyone has a role to play.
Moving away from influencing training data, that's an aspect, but arguably a bigger aspect is because so many prompts do result in a web search. So, okay, how can we influence as many prompts as we can? Because so the prompts are the your prompt is being broken into multiple web searches, and the web searches aren't the exact same every time. They're slightly different. And these are called for people, yeah, well, like you said, these are called query fanouts for people who are new to this. If your query is being or you are having your prompt into these multiple queries, kind of like a fan, is like because you'll see like 1 to 3 subqueries from your prompt. And so it's like, all right, how can we actually, for these subqueries, show up on really high in search so that we are getting cited? Have you? And there's a lot of tactics for this, and a lot of tactics that are safe. A lot of tactics that are
Yeah.
safe. Um, have you toyed around? I'm curious, because this is something that a lot of people have come on the show and said that they're doing is finding maybe there is a listicle that is getting cited overwhelmingly across prompts that you are tracking, and then trying to get into that listicle. Have you tried something like that?
Yeah, I have. But I don't go for competitors. I don't go for them. So if I see, so actually, for the listeners, when you monitor your visibility in most GEO tools and even SEO tools, their new AI dashboards have like a sources section, or a lot of them do. They tell you what sources are influencing the AI answer, and they're like, oh, you're not mentioned in this source. You should try and be mentioned in this source. But a lot of the time, that source is a competitor. If a competitor's listicle is being ranked, and I'm not going to go ask them for, hey, give me. I've
Yeah.
received emails from competitor companies. Hey, can you put me into your listicle? I don't respond. I'm not going to ask a competitor either. I will go to the affiliates. That's where affiliate marketing comes in, and that's what I said about SEO, or sorry, GEO being a company-wide problem. So there's some. I was working at a grocery retailer in the UK, like the biggest retailer they have. As an SEO, when I was doing SEO, I don't have a say in what the affiliate marketer is doing. But now, as a GEO, I'm going to ask the affiliate marketer, hey, um, this affiliate website is highly cited in AI search. Can we run a program with them? And then the affiliate will go out and they will they'll engage in them. So yeah, it's something I've done, but I only focus on the companies that, like the real big companies that are actually being listed. Because yeah, the brands, they go in and out, but your health lines, for example, your WebMDs, if you're in supplements, um, Sleepopolis, I believe is their name, one of the mattress sites.
Sleepopolis, yeah.
Yeah, these type of companies, they're not going anywhere. If you're in credit cards, I forgot the company name, but a huge credit card affiliate. These type of companies, that's where you want to be listed. They're the companies you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of their affiliate program, even if it costs a little bit more than you want it to. I'd recommend trying it out. If you are in the affiliate game, sometimes they run tests with your brand. Like they'll put you in these websites, they'll put you in a certain position in their listicle, and then they'll see what kind of click through rate you get. So yeah, try it out, because you kind of have to be listed in those sites. Because like I said, now the query fanout also makes site colon searches, and it goes to specific websites to learn about brands. And if you're not listed in trusted websites, you might not show up in AI.
Yeah, or you might find, and sometimes you see this, it's just some random niche blog that has a listicle, and this listicle is influencing a lot of prompts that are important to you, and it's like literally like a random like hobby blog or something, and they
Yeah.
don't realize the value that this listicle has, and you just email them and you say, hey, what would it take to get in your listicle? How much would it cost? And you're kind of explicit about it, and they'll give you a price. Okay, $200, and maybe they think for them like that's a lot, or $300, and for you it's like now you're cited really high in this listicle, and because this listicle, or your given really high in this listicle. And because this listicle is cited for so many of your prompts, now you're really influencing just a lot of the prompts that you care about.
Yeah,
This is
and 100%. And an unethical GEO tip is make your own listicles on third-party websites. I'm seeing companies do that. Not recommending it, not condoning it, but it works. In Canada, Postmedia is a huge news organization. If you go in the Vancouver Sun, the best hair transplant companies, the number one is a clinic in Turkey. They sponsored that article in the Vancouver Sun, and when you Google best hair transplant companies, Vancouver or whatever, that listicle ranks in number one. That listicle influences the AI answer. And the Calgary Herald and Calgary Sun, there's law firms that have created. So they didn't create a listicle, but they made pages like why law firm X is the top rated law firm for Albertans, for example. So there's lots of things you can do in third party websites. Whether it's ethical or not, it depends on what industry you're in. The disclaimers you need depends on the industry you're in. But I've also seen some companies buy guest posts like they used to do for SEO back in the day, and that's where they have the listicle. And like you said, it could be in a $200 blog, it could be in a $300 blog, $50 blog, but sometimes these do show up more often in ChatGPT, and I've seen them make a difference. But I think that's where your SEO person is going to come into play. If they know what's going on, they will tell you that, look, these are the sources that are influencing ChatGPT, influencing Grok, whatever your main AI is. This is where we need to be. Our competitor has it, or you can do a simple link analysis, like SEOs used to do link intersects back in the day. Like, whereas this company has this many links from these websites, we have this many from these websites. Go through your competitor's backlink structure, and see what's a listicle, see where they're buying guest posts. Try and do the same thing. For bigger companies, it's probably not guest posts in the $20 blogs. It's probably more, like the Marketing Dive or like the CTO Times or whatever, like some bigger industry publications. But if you're a smaller company, you're doing local SEO, you can do this type of stuff in cheaper magazines, in cheaper sites.
something that works really well, and it's completely ethical, is just putting up product pages and landing pages, literally targeting like terms that people are searching with very high intent. Because when the query fanout happens, when multiple prompts are broken into these subqueries that are being searched, oftentimes they will come across these landing pages, these product pages that you are making. And product pages and landing pages are getting cited a ton, and it's very ethical to just put up pages on your site about what you offer and all the different use cases that you fill, all the services that you offer.
Yeah, exactly. I see this in e-commerce. So very similar to what you said. So within e-commerce, the Google search engine results pages, there was a bit of a shift maybe 2 to 3 years ago where some of these affiliates were actually ranking less. And e-commerce companies, their category pages started to be called like best fragrances for men, for example. So the SEO page title of the category, like if you're a fragrance website, the category page might be best fragrances for men. And rather than having like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the product grid is the product grid that they have, like where they have the 1 product, 2 product, 3 product, like that is the same. That's the same thing. The H1 on the page will be best fragrances for men, for example. So yeah, you can just do that as well. You don't have to make a listicle to rank for a bottom of funnel query. Like you can do that through a product category page. You can do that for your service page. Just yesterday, I even saw a page for a law firm that said brand name voted as the best law firm for this in Toronto.
Yeah.
And what it was is they've paid a third-party affiliate, and it's like marketing, like Law Marketing Canada or something. Like there's a lawyer magazine. They pay, obviously they're a part of their affiliate program. That affiliate program put them in the number 1 spot. And they just took the little sticker and logo they gave them and they put a page on their site saying that this magazine thinks we're the number 1 law firm in Toronto for car accidents. And yeah, there you are. Like now they're ranking for a bottom of funnel query, and I saw them show up for best personal injury lawyers in Canada. I saw them show up for that keyword through that page.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even actually, I include this. I included this in compact keywords in my SEO course. I said like personal injury law NYC isn't as competitive as everybody thinks, like as a keyword. There's actually not many websites that are targeting that keyword properly, despite it having such a high cost per click, despite it being such a valuable keyword. It literally just going after things that are scenarios, just making pages for things that are common scenarios for your brand, common services that you offer, can be so effective. I want to give credit to you for finding out about the press release strategy with cheap press releases. This is something that's really safe too. And cheap press releases influence influence LLMs a ton with searches. They're influencing AI overviews. They're getting recommended by ChatGPT, and these press releases can cost like $80, and you put this out, and it can be immediate.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many ways that you can do, I think, GEO like ethically, or I'd say the safe way. Like press releases is not even
So
what
the
you
press
do.
release, let's give a walkthrough for that. You use AB Newswire
Yeah,
because AB Newswire is the least expensive. That's the only
yeah,
reason. It's the
yeah. So
least expensive.
so I just did it as I just did it as an experiment. I had no personal gain from doing these. I just wanted to prove a point that you can make something fake
Oh, I've
at the
made
time.
videos about people who have done this and who have done it
Yeah,
and
because
gotten personal gain.
yeah, it works. So back then, I wanted no personal gain. I just wanted to prove a point that I can make a random company and I can get AI to say that it exists. And yeah, used AB Newswire as like a $5 release and made a website, said that we're a 5-star rated company or a near 5-star rated SEO agency. And then that's it. The AB Newswire put it on the wire. They got distributed into multiple websites like financial content, Yahoo News, Globe Newswire. No, Globe and Mail at the time. I don't know if they're still part of the network, but the
Yeah.
Globe and Mail. And then when you asked AI about this company, AI was confidently saying they're near 5-star rated. They've got hundreds of reviews. Then they experiment in GEO. I even got emails. I got leads from this. I was like, there were people messaging me saying that we're looking to do GEO. Can you help us? So it worked, and this is especially important if you want to change the narrative about something. So let's say you've got some reputation management to do. I think press releases are good. Company announcements, of course, always, but I think this strategy might be more beneficial for those of you that there's a bit of reputation management to do. This works, or yeah, maybe you're sponsoring a local sports team. Cheap press release is a good way to distribute that because on your website, if you're a local business, Google doesn't care if you're sponsoring a local sports team. You need to make some noise about it. Maybe you can buy a cheap press release and say the top plumber, the top plumbing company in New York is sponsoring the Little League baseball, whatever, right? Whatever. That's then gonna be syndicated by all of these top news websites or big news websites, and it's going to influence the LLMs. The LLMs are going to know more about your brand. So when someone researching about your company, is this plumbing company good? Do they have good reviews? AI does that thing where it gives you more information than you need. It will say that this company has recently been in the news for sponsoring this team or donating this to this charity or doing this or doing that. So yeah, press releases are great to try and change the narrative about what AI is saying about your company.
Yeah, I mean, even without branded searches, even if you're not even asking about a specific brand. So I'll give the example of Matt Diamante. He's allowed me to share this, and I've made multiple videos about it in the past. So Matt Diamante came out with an SEO book. Matt is a SEO. He has an agency called Hey Tony, and he came out with an SEO book, and he used AB Newswire. So AB Newswire, if you buy 500 press releases for sorry, if you buy, I think it's like 83 press releases for a year, there's a $500 per year package which gives you 83 releases, which makes it so that each release comes down to like $6. If you want to just buy a single press release from AB Newswire, it's $80. And so Matt got this like single $80 press release, puts it out, and puts the term best-selling SEO book in his press release title, in the press release subheading, and in the first sentence of the press release. Then when you asked ChatGPT about a best-selling SEO book, or when you just search best-selling SEO book, the AI overview is citing him. ChatGPT is citing him, and his press release is showing up number one in Google for best-selling SEO book. And you see that the press release is citing you see that the AI overview is citing his press release. And like this is an example of something that works really, really well. And we've talked about this before, and I asked you, do you think this tactic is going to stop working anytime soon? And you said no, you don't see how it could.
Yeah, and I still don't, unless ChatGPT, Google, OpenAI, like all these companies, they fundamentally change the way they train themselves. Like, how can this stop working? Like, it can't, because real companies use press releases. Like, I made a presentation, for example, about Toyota and their brand messaging. So Toyota is known as the most reliable car. If you ask ChatGPT or any AI for the most reliable car, it's going to say Toyota. But it's not just because they do press releases, but Toyota on their website, they have hundreds of instances where they say most reliable car. Every press release they put out, that line most reliable car is in there. So like big companies use press releases as part of their communication strategies. The news is informed by press releases like business news. So when a company's going to announce their financial statements, for example, they put it in a press release. Press releases are used so much that how can these companies stop using them? And there's always going to be the ability to game them, in my opinion.
Yeah. Something else that we need to talk about is just like actually looking at the language in the query fanout, looking at the searches that an LLM is doing. Perplexity will show the searches visibly. There are ways you can see the searches with ChatGPT. If you like, this is more complicated, but if you want to try this yourself, it's still really easy to do. Give a prompt to ChatGPT, wait for it to see like searching the web, then right click inspect, and go to the network tab. Then you'll see like a filter of a filter search thing. And what you do is you copy the part of your URL that comes after /C, paste that into the filter search area, refresh the page. And when you refresh the page, you'll see these like orange brackets with the string that you copied, the string that from the URL that comes after /C. Then you'll see like a response tab. Go to the response tab and search that for the word queries. And in that, you will literally see the searches. You can see the searches that ChatGPT is doing. And when you know how to do this, if you just, by the way, if you search anything like what I just told you into Google, video tutorials that I've made about this will come up. And then when you do that, you see that ChatGPT is using different searches than what your prompt was, but you can see the exact searches that ChatGPT is doing. And then you know the language. You do it a few times and you start to learn the language that the LLM is using to get its information. And so then you take that language. And here's the thing about most websites are extraordinarily bad at targeting language specifically with SEO, with their websites, just ranking in Google by being really targeted. So now you know the language that that the LLM, that the large language model is using, and you take this and you put this language in your page title, you put it in your URL slug, you put it in your H1, you put it at the beginning of your first sentence. What you are doing is you are literally optimizing pages on your website for this language. And so by doing that, if especially if you have people linking to your site and sharing your site, you have what's called an SEO authority. Now you're going to show up in search really high for this language. And then when the LLM does a web search, like it invariably does, because so many prompts result in web searches, when the LLM is doing a web search, it's going to come across your content. And you control the narrative in the content. You say what you want it to say, and the LLM, like you said, Harpreet, is going to parrot whatever you write.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. And we can say GEO kind of comes down to that. GEO is going to parrot whatever you write and whatever third party, whatever people outside of your business write about your business. So yeah, try and get the parrot to say good things, and you do
Try
that.
to get the parrot.
try to kind of get the parrot to say good things. Be mentioned in all these other review sites. Say the right things about your product on your website. Put the information there. Like pricing is a big one. So many companies, SaaS companies, they hide their pricing. But when you ask ChatGPT about the pricing of a B2B SaaS company, it is going to tell you. If you don't have something on your website, it's going to make some shit. It's going to make something up. It's going to pull it from G2. It's going to pull it from Reddit. It's going to get it from somewhere. So you might as well try and influence the pricing. If you want to hide your pricing, that's okay. But you can say starts from 10,000, starts from 5,000, starts from 50,000. Even if you say that, ChatGPT will reference your website and say that this company does not specify its pricing, but they do say they start from this. That is better than ChatGPT linking out to a Reddit thread that says, "Oh, this was way too expensive. They quoted me 40,000." So that's something that's something you can
Have
do
you
as well.
seen in the wild? We were talking about LLMs specifically searching like G2. Not even when you don't ask it to. You're not saying go search
Yeah,
G2. It's literally just doing that. Have you actually seen that happen in the wild?
yeah, I have. This is the query fan out I noticed I think last week, a couple of weeks ago. I've noticed this where I'm searching for let's just say the best email marketing software, and I've seen ChatGPT put G2 in its query fan out title. So it'll be like, actually now it's even more interesting because it'll put in company A, company B, company C, and they're usually well-known companies. They're not newer companies, and it will add like G2 reviews as the query fan out. So I've had that as the query fan out before, as company A, company B, company C, G2 reviews. So it's obviously,
Has it been with the initial query fan out, or has it been with like a pattern that I've seen is the LLM will do an initial search and then gather companies to look into and then do further searches within the same prompt, do further searches into those companies, then searching G2. So it's not
yeah.
starting with the G2 search, or have you seen it starting with the G2 search?
I've seen it start with a G2 search.
Wow.
That's my initial that would be my initial query fan out prompt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it start with the initial.
Well,
Yeah.
it comes down to then what it comes down to what you're saying. Like also try to have a good product, because if you
Yeah.
don't, you're gonna get these bad reviews.
Yeah.
And if you have if you have a brand that is doing a sufficient amount of business, customers are gonna say if they had a bad experience.
Yeah.
So try to prevent that.
But the other thing I'd say is don't just focus on one third party platform. Like today it's G2, tomorrow it could
Mm,
be Capterra, right? And I've seen that.
yeah.
Like today it's Reddit, tomorrow could be Trustpilot. Like we remember that time in September or October when Reddit completely fell out of OpenAI's
Yeah.
results, and everyone was like, "Oh, the Reddit stock went down because OpenAI is not citing them anymore." Never put your eggs in one basket with GEO. Try and make sure your reviews are optimized on every platform, right? If you're on Trustpilot, TrustWiz, I don't know how many of these they are. Make sure you don't have a bad review. Oh, you can't make sure you don't have bad reviews, but make sure you have good reviews across the board. Set up alerts. Set up a monitor that if this random review website someone leaves you a 1-star review, you can go there and address it. Make sure your Yelp profile is optimized. Even if you don't use it, make sure your review rating is good. Make sure your profile description matches what you want to be known for, what you want to be known for right now. So yeah, it's more just scan the internet for your brand, wherever your brand can be, and just make sure that thing is optimized, and make sure good things are said about your company.
You know, it's this the original concept for this episode, which I think we should touch on, is how there's a possibility that the web is going to get reshuffled because of all of these major companies that are falling for the spam tactics, the rank and tank Mount AI spam tactics that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. And so a lot of major companies are falling for it. They don't
Mhm.
have their marketers are not sophisticated enough. Their C-suite is not sophisticated enough to know what happens, or to know that you're going to get in trouble if you're scaling these listicles with very clear patterns. And they just don't know. And so you literally are seeing this happen with lots of major companies. And the concept is that the web is going to get reshuffled, and there's going to be now tons of room to take the SEO real estate that these big companies once had, because they are tanking themselves.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I'd say that the internet's already being reshuffled by the way people search themselves. So like Google's AI overviews, AI mode, ChatGPT, Claude, that's reshuffling the internet in itself because I'm looking at Home Depot's traffic right now. Not to say that they've done anything bad, but I remember a few years ago they were seen as like a best-in-class website for how-to queries. So like how to get rid of mold, how to fix a leaky, how to water your lawn, how to get rid of black mold, how to install a French rain, how to patch and repair drywall. And these were seen as best-in-class pages because they ranked for the term, they had a video, and then they explained how to do the thing. But now you search for that inside Google's AI overviews. You Google that search, how to get rid of mold or how to patch and repair drywall. The AI overview tells you what's the purpose of this Home Depot page now, because there's even a video in the AI overview. So I'd say the internet's already being reshuffled. And like you said about all these companies losing traffic, yes, like there's companies making pages, gaining the top of funnel traffic, then losing it because their domain gets hit on an algorithm level, for a couple of years. If they don't start doing the right things, that gives an opportunity to another company to take their place. Now, because the AI overview is there, because the AI answer is there, they're not going to get the traffic that they got 5 years ago. Like that's gone, but they're going to get some exposure. AI overviews in the linked box, sometimes your logo, you can see the company logo. That's a brand impression. You might be able to get your brand or website listed right underneath the overview. That's a brand impression. And we know companies love to pay for brand impressions. People, they do that on billboards, TV ads, and so on and so. So now I think being on page one of Google or just underneath the AI overview and in the AI overview, yeah, it's not just about the click. It's also, in my opinion, it's also a brand impression where someone can see your logo and be like, okay, that's one impression. I know who that company is. No, that company is company Y. So yeah, I think the web is being reshuffled. I think the way we're doing marketing is being reshuffled. The one thing I don't think that's being reshuffled is marketing tactics. Well, actually, no, that's wrong. Marketing tactics are being reshuffled, but there's nothing new. The order of the importance of tactics are just changing. Like even we talked about, what are we doing for GEO? What are we doing for SEO? There's things that we can do for GEO now that we stopped doing for SEO in the last 5 years, but we did do them 10 years ago, type of thing. So I just think that, yeah, the tactics are remaining the same, but yeah, there are things that are being reshuffled. At any given point, you as a brand, as a company, just need to make sure that you don't do anything that will put you on the bad side of an algorithm. Like, just question yourself. Like when I'm scaling content, what impact is this going to have to me in 2-3 years? If you run a churn and burn website, if you run a website built for short-term gains, some of these tactics are fine. Like, go ahead. Like, that's your business model. But if you're a real business with real customers and you have a 10-year plan, 15-year plan, you want to be around for a long time, you can't afford to do some of these tactics, even if you get a short-term gain.
You wrote to me. I like this comment. You wrote to me over DM. You said, "Look at Google AI mode. Looks like SEO is going back to the old days where product pages and categories and the home pages are ranked."
Yeah. And I see that more and more now, actually, compared to a few months ago. And I think Google is trying to take action on some of these top of funnel pages. So I was looking for the best e-commerce website platforms, and there were some listicles cited by Google, but the brands mentioned, you could click on them and go directly onto their homepage. But all of these brands that were mentioned for that term, they also had a listicle on their website. So what was the point of making the listicle? Because now Google's sending you to the homepage or it's sending you to the product page. When you look for services, it's the same thing. Oftentimes Google will either underline the clickable, like the company name, they will underline it. If it's blue, you go directly to their website. If it's a dotted black line, then it opens up another search for that brand name. When that happens, the citations on the right are kind of mute because you're not going to click on those and go to the citations. You're just going to go to the brand directly, or you're going to search for the brand directly. So that's another way that things are being reshuffled. I think the blog section, or like long form content, it is having less of an importance. But now this ties into all the other stuff we just talked about and being mentioned in other places and being recognized for what you do. Because if you're not going to be recognized for what you do, you're not going to be listed by Google as, a solution for whatever, or as a service for whatever it is you sell.
I also want to go back to what you were saying about top of funnel content, because personally, I make a lot of episodes about this. I just think going after top of funnel content, putting your effort towards top of funnel content is such a waste. I think it was a waste actually before. This is where a lot of people, I wouldn't even say disagree with me, just no one even stopped to think about it. But even before ChatGPT, I think making top of funnel SEO content was a waste. I like the thing about bottom of funnel content is it's very easy to rank for. It's very non-competitive. The most high intent terms are the least searched terms, and because they're the least searched terms, they have the least competition. And just because like most marketers are going where all the search volume is, where all the traffic is. But if you instead go where all the intent is, there's paradoxically less competition there. And when the AI is citing you, you are being cited for something where somebody wants to go to another website to convert. They're not looking to get information and leave. They are literally looking to take an action.
Yeah, that's right. And I think with top of funnel traffic, a lot of the thing was back in the day, people wanted to monetize with AdSense. And I think their AdSense, or I forgot what the other platforms are called, but their whole thing was they just wanted clicks. And because there were so many case studies about getting clicks with top of funnel content, other brands started to do this too because they thought more organic traffic means more sales. It doesn't necessarily pan out for businesses, but if your model was to get traffic through, AdSense and stuff like that, it did work out. And I agree with you. I think with top of funnel content now, let's just say like what is financial reporting as an example. You can make a page for that keyword, but AI is going to tell you what it is. But if you're a brand and you're an accounting brand or whatever, you want to have an opinion in your top of funnel content that no other company has, or you want to have a point of view and you want to try and shape the narrative of that term. In that case, top of funnel content would be good. But for a lot of companies, they're not there because they're not at that superstar level where what they say makes a difference, right? A lot of companies, you can put stuff out, no one really cares about what you're putting out. But if you're a top brand, like if Apple put out something in their blog for a top of funnel keyword, but they wanted to frame something new, or they brought like a new narrative into the mix, people would listen. So in that sense, top of funnel is good because they've already got an audience. They've already got the authority. They have an audience. But yeah, if you're a small brand and you're just making a page for what is financial reporting, like what's the point? Because AI is going to answer the question. The best thing you can hope for is, like I said, the brand impression. But at the same time, when you've got 50 other things to do, your effort is better gone towards just making the bottom of funnel content that's going to have an impact on revenue. And when you have more resources and more time, you can do some of the other marketing stuff.
Yeah. It's instead
Yeah.
do like financial reporting software for small businesses, or you could
Yeah.
even literally niche down further. You could do financial reporting software for brick and mortar businesses. And
Yeah.
the further you niche down, the less competition there is. And what's cool too is that a lot of people, the way that they are using LLMs is they're giving really long prompts. They're telling the LLM all about themselves. And so the LLM will now actually do a more specific search. And so if you're saying that that you address all these different customers, the LLM is coming across that in its searches.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you're going to find that, like you said, through the query fan out. So yeah, there's a lot of research that needs to be done, in my opinion. If you have an SEO person, if you have an SEO team, if you have an SEO agency, ask them these questions. Ask them, for our main keywords, what kind of fan outs are showing up, and they'll do that analysis. A lot of keyword tools now, when you measure prompts, they do give you the fan out, but they can also do this manually. And sometimes sometimes you just have to put in the time. You have to see what else is showing up. If you want to rank for best running shoes, but the query Fanout is always citing, let's just say like REI or like a big running store. You kind of have to make sure that you're mentioned in that website that's being cited. So GEO, there's lots of things that are easy, but it all starts with research. Where is the AI getting its information from? Now you're going to reverse engineer to get yourself shown in AI answers.
Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap it with just some overview questions. So the standard ways that people are doing generative engine optimization right now, is that safe?
No, it's not, and we can see that from the case studies.
Yeah. And then if you were to just like summarize the right ways to do it, just to leave people with like just a summary of what we talked about, what would you say?
I'd say 80% of it, or 70%, 70 to 80% of it is good SEO. So making sure your website is technically sound, making sure, like you said, have the pages for the products or services that you offer, right? That's just basic marketing. Have a page for what you offer. If you're location based, have pages for those locations. Have content for the things you offer. Not every list is bad. So if you're selling, if you're a toy store, for example, have the top 10 birthday gifts, for example, and you can position certain toys or whatever in like position 1 to 10. So do that. Then once your SEO is on point, once you've got an SEO strategy, now go beyond your website. What else can you do? So for your target keywords, for your target searches, who is showing up? Are they affiliates? Okay, can you now reach out to those affiliates and can you be mentioned on those websites? Are videos showing up for your set of answers? Okay, if they are, what's your video strategy? Do you have a video strategy in play? Are people searching for your stuff outside of AI and outside of Google? In TikTok, a lot of travel videos, a lot of travel stuff like 5 things to do in Vancouver or like 10 things to do or best restaurants in Lisbon or whatever. People are searching in TikTok. People are searching on Instagram. Do you have a presence there? Are you searching up for those type of terms? And then of course, Reddit. What are people saying about your product on Reddit? And can you actually influence it? What threads are showing up in AI answers? Can you influence those threads? Do you need to own your subreddit? If someone's saying bad things about your brand, maybe you create a subreddit for your brand name. So these are some of the things you can do to get started with GEO. But like I said, 70 to 80% is just good SEO. And then the rest of it builds on that SEO, and you're going to talk to your marketing team about affiliates and social and your community presence and things like that.
And reputation management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Harpreet Singh, thank you for joining the show. Where for new people, where can they find you?
You can find me on X under Harpreet Chatter _. You can also find me on TikTok and YouTube, but all my links will be in the description.
Yep. All right. This is episode 1039 of The Edward Show. 1000. If you're new to this show, I've done this for 1039 days in a row without missing a single day. I've had so many interesting SEO conversations, geo conversations, marketing conversations for 1030. A lot of solo episodes too, but for 1039 days in a row. If you watch us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. If you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for listening. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.